Good afternoon. It is 1:32 on Thursday, September 15th, 2022. Now this is time for an action item to consider a resolution of the Canyon County Board of Commissioners approving a one-time retention and appreciation payment for fiscal year 2022. I'm Commissioner Smith. Also present is Commissioner White and Commissioner Van Beek. Monica Reeves is our deputy clerk. Joining us is Clerk Yamamoto, Controller Wagner, and we have Bosco Baldwin, who is our newest HR wage analyst, wage and compensation analyst, and then Greg Rass is our IT director, and he's been significant in helping us with these projects as well that are coming up for our next agenda item as well, getting us prepared. So, like I stated, the first item is a one-time retention and appreciation. This was talked about during the budget session. It was also talked about last year, but we ended up not doing it. And I asked that this move forward because I'm incredibly proud to have worked alongside all of you that are sitting here, as well as those that are going to join us live, and those people that are still at their desk working incredibly hard. And so it's been a tough year. We have worked really diligently to be in a strong financial situation. And I'd love to put on record a little bit from our clerk and our controller on if this is financially possible and feasible and what your thoughts are before we actually consider this as a board for approval. Pointed that to the controller.
Madam Chair, we are in the business of providing services. And those services are provided by people. And some of those people are here with us today, but each and every one of our employees is so valuable and so important to this community. Over the course of the past few years, it's been a wild ride, to say the least. And I'm so proud of our staff, our employees, our elected officials, department administrators, that we have been able to continue to provide services. Essential, mandated, basic county services have continued. And that is a direct result of our employees and their commitment to do the right thing. Also, the county financially prepared for the worst. There were, the fiscal year 2021 budget was very thin, minimal pay increases. We anticipated the worst, prepared for the worst, and financially things have turned out very well because of our frugal and prudent management of public money. So the county is in a stable, solid financial position at the moment. We definitely do have the financial resources to invest in our personnel.
Thank you. I also wanted to put on the record that, as you mentioned, 2021, we were very thin on how we took care of our employees. And that year, Canyon County experienced a 20.23% turnover rate. And that's significant. There's smiles out there because it's real. We struggled to keep up with services. Some of those are key positions that we are having a hard time keeping filled because we can't keep up with the market with the current salaries that we had. In 2022, which we are in the middle of, our current turnover rate is at 14.36%. The goal should be under 10, and we're getting there, but we've got some ways to go. So today I'm very excited to be a part of something that helps compensate our employees for the work that they do. Any other comments?
Madam Chair,
Sure, Mandy.
and thank you, Zach, for your comments. I echo your sentiments that we have great employees that provide services to the county. I would differ in saying that in the last year, employees did receive an average overall 9.5% cost of living adjustment. That was, I believe, greater than what a lot of citizens in the county received that were working right in that it was a difficult year. but the county continues to provide some of the higher increases. This would be the second consecutive year that I know that the county is going to outpace most of the other counties in the state of Idaho. I was told yesterday that Boise City employee wanted to reach out to one of our employees, but they could not match the current salary. We were outpacing them at that level. So I do greatly appreciate Oscar Baldwin joining our team. I would submit that he is being led by not one, but probably 10 or 20 fire hoses at the same time. The volume of information, I know I received the initial salary document following the final budget hearing this morning. And there was one update at 1:15 that was received today. I do not recall any open meeting.
Right now, we haven't opened that meeting, so right now we're having a meeting on the one-time retention and appreciation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, I was just headed there. The one-time retention and appreciation, there was some discussion because I was engaged in a productive conversation with a good director about the amount of vacation hours in their bank, and they have worked exceptionally hard. We were looking at what that would look like. He is an exempt employee. We understand that sometimes that work is required, but there was a proposal to look at a number of options. That was the last I heard of it. I was surprised the day before yesterday when I saw this document on there. There is on the resolution no final number on what that amount would look like. So even a breakout of the number of full-time and part-time. So I would submit that there's information lacking for the board to completely do its diligence on this by statute and the setting of salaries. Even though I greatly appreciate this will be the proposal, one of the largest salary increases that this county has seen. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner White?
a one-time retention and appreciation payment. So that would be added to what their first October check, or we would have that, would be in the next year's.
Zach?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we have options there, in my opinion. The October 7th paycheck, that will still be a fiscal year 2022 paycheck
Okay, thanks.
because those wages were earned, accrued in fiscal year 2022.
Okay.
Also, if we decide to go that direction, that would give employees 2 weeks for those who desire to adjust their income tax withholding. They would have 2 weeks to possibly, if they desire, adjust their income tax withholding. And that can be done through the ADP portal.
So the resolution calls out a date of September 23rd, but if we change it to October 7th, then employees could adjust withholdings.
They would have until, I believe it was Friday, September 30th, is that a Friday? They would have until 5 p.m. on September 30th to adjust withholdings. And again, even though that is an October 7th payday, it is still a fiscal year 2022 expenditure.
And you know the total costs on this approximately? Because it would be a $2,000 payment to full-time employees and a $1,000 payment to our valuable part-time employees, or all employees.
Total cost after including benefits would be $2.1 million.
Is there any other discussion on this? And is there support to move this resolution forward?
I'm sure I would not be able to support this. These are late numbers that we haven't had the chance to evaluate the impact on the budget. The story run in the station yesterday indicates it clearly. The county doesn't really know what it looks like for the insurance moving forward. There are a lot of variables and unknowns, and to add $2.1 million, one of the highest increases in salaries, is not sustainable in my humble opinion.
It's a one-time payment, and then can you clarify, so you're taking the information reported in a newspaper over the information that you have and know to be true about our insurance? You're using that as your reason to not support it about a newspaper article about insurance?
Madam Chair, I believe that there are a number of factors that the board needs to take into consideration in the new fiscal year. And it has appeared to be a posture of spending here in the last, perhaps since May.
So, but you mentioned the insurance, what was the,
That
that didn't have anything to do with,
I'm saying the county has, the Board of Commissioners has a responsibility to ensure the fiscal soundness and the
Right.
solvency of the county.
that's right.
Correct.
And then Zach, how do you anticipate for the fiscal year 22 budget overall? Will we expend every dollar that was budgeted, or how much savings will we have from fiscal year 22 at the end of the year projected?
I would project when we settle the numbers, settle the books, it's likely that our fund balance for fiscal year 2022, our fund balance will increase by about $10 million, even including this 2.1 million. Our fund balance will be a net positive. It will still grow in fiscal year 2022 by roughly $10 million.
That is
Pretty responsible.
And that is someone who looks at the numbers every day. So, and I'm putting it on the record too, someone that I trust. Bookkeeping, funding, everything that goes on here. Thank you, Zach, very, very much for that. So, it has never been, I've only been here 6 years. I've only been here 6 years, but we've not done this type of a bonus. I don't know what word we use.
Retention and
A
appreciation.
retention and appreciation payment. There you go. Okay. And I think that, I agree with you, what it's been like, not only in, but a whole life in the last 2 years has been so unpredictable, and so up and down. And I've had very, very few, in fact, I'm going to go so far as to say I've had nobody that works here at the county complain to me about what you're making or the fact that you have to be here or anything like that. So I really, really appreciate that. And I really, really appreciate the staff that we have. And so this is not, this is an action item. So, just to get this moving, I will make the nomination, what is the word? I move that we sign the resolution approving a one-time retention and appreciation payment for fiscal year 2022. And we need to put numbers. We have those numbers to put on the record
I believe the dollar amounts are included in the
in
wording
the
of the
resolution,
resolution.
$2,000 for full-time and $1,000 for part-time. And then, just to clarify your motion, would you like to change the resolution that was presented included a date of September 23rd, but we would like to change it to October 7th?
October 7th, right, and don't forget that, and we'll put on the record too, the employees have until 5 PM on September 30th. To make any changes they need to.
I'll second that motion. There's a motion by Commissioner White and a second by Commissioner Smith to approve the resolution for the one-time retention and appreciation payment for fiscal year 22. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes with 2 in favor and 1 opposed. So this, next item is a resolution of the Canyon County Board of County Commissioners setting salaries for fiscal year 23. And this is a product from the budget hearings that was started and worked upon, and then Bosco, you, I think, started after the day after the budget, maybe? Or, I don't remember.
Today is day 12.
Day 12. Bless you. But, so those numbers were presented and they were included in the budget. And since then, I'm just going to let Greg and Bosco give a brief summary of what has transpired since then. And then we'll confirm that we're still within the projected budget or the actual adopted budget numbers after that. So you're up.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you. Yeah, this has been a long road. I'll have to admit that is, since that public hearing that was actually approved, we did adjust the minimum rate down to $18 an hour. We did do that. The years in position adjustments were put in there as well. The pain points of the minimum salaries for employees, deputy sheriff, in the jail and patrol, all that stayed fast, all that's the same. So the biggest thing, I have to apologize for the two different revisions this morning in regards to this meeting on the salary side. We met with the controller and he had a very good point that we had to add the specialty and lead pay into the salaries for FY23. So the latest revision has that additional dollars in the salaries for FY23. So that has been corrected and updated. So we crunched really hard on that. I appreciate Zach's time this morning on this. We did meet with the elected officials and department heads, and I will tell you the numbers are coming, even with the changes on $18 as a minimum rate for the county. We had a lot of support. They did support, they agreed with the numbers they saw, and so I'd like to report that. We do have a lot of support for this. I don't want to speak for them, but they were good engagements. And that's pretty much in a nutshell. And as far as the numbers, Madam Chair, as far as the spreadsheet shows, it shows we're roughly 8.6 million in salaries, and with the specialty and lead pay, we're roughly about 9 million. That's fact check me on that, but that's what the numbers show.
And that would be salaries and benefits.
That is correct.
Total.
Anything, Bosco, on day number 12? I know you've been working hard.
No, well, other than it was partially my fault that that last revision had to be sent out so late. It was just the number of pivot points that we were having to go through. This is a massive spreadsheet. And just wanted to make sure that it was accurate before we submitted it to you. And we got great data from the controller, and we're able to put that all into this so that you can see a complete picture as opposed to a partial.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Van Beek.
I want to take this opportunity to say as Commissioner that
Can you wait for 1 second? I thought you had a question for Bosco, because the order of what we were going to follow was for these gentlemen and then the clerk's office to give a financial statement. So, can we please do that?
Madam Chair, it was my doing. The reason you have multiple documents was because of me.
But Bosco wanted to take that.
I get a pass at state 12.
The specialty and lead pay amounts are included with the annual salary. So that's what you have before you. It includes the specialty and lead pay for those specific positions. And the amounts are consistent with what was approved for the fiscal year 2023 budget. Those dollar amounts, those totals are within what was approved for the budget for fiscal year 2023. So there's sufficient revenue, there's sufficient cash balances, sufficient funding to fully pay for those salaries and benefits as presented for fiscal year 2023.
And then from your professional experience and expertise, do you see any issues with the proposal for the future Canyon County financial success or doom?
Madam Chair, I do not.
All right, this would be time for discussion.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Van Beek.
in looking at the information with the brief time that I've had to do that, there are approximately 880 salaries with 76 vacant positions listed on here. I'll go to the most fundamental side of this. There's no total on this given for commissioners to review, no breakout of the vacant positions and the total of those and what that's costing county taxpayers. Additionally, with the increases ranging from 15 to 22, I don't know, I don't have an average amount increase on here. The one noticeable and offensive portion of this is the reduction, the proposal by Commissioner White at the August 17th hearing to reduce the commissioner's salary. We did have a conversation. Commissioner White approached me earlier in the week and asked if there was still interest. I indicated clearly on the record on August 17th that there was not an interest to move forward with the chief operating officer position. It was not marketed well and was not well received by the public. Even with that, in the statement that was provided, and there's a lack of clarity on the authorship, but a clear presentation that it was understood and collaborated by two commissioners that the salary would include a 9% COLA for all employees and elected officials, and I'm reading from that document. The second point on this says to reduce the salary of the Board of County Commissioners. I don't know if that's indicating that they are no longer elected officials, but it is contradictory information, to $90,000 with no 9% because of the addition of the chief operating officer position. I have looked through the document that we received that position has been removed. So the logic in arguing to reduce a commissioner's salary who manages 15 department heads, hundreds of employees, $130-some million budget is a slap in the face. It's very offensive to the incoming commissioners that ran on the salary that was posted, for two commissioners who have struggled with attendance and struggled with the board forum to make these kinds of decisions. So this decision should have been reevaluated at the August 17th hearing when I indicated that did not want to move forward, but that was not done. There was additionally no adjustment that I know of. I did ask for the mid-year raises to be completed, that were completed back in June, to be taken into consideration. It was a significant increase and adjustment to the budget. That did not happen. It's my understanding that those increases were compounded. I'm looking here at my notes. The other thing that the controller has referenced, the steps, the last recollection I have, we have to pull the audio on that. It is a surprise that those lead and specialty pays were added back in. We have now, about 5 minutes ago, the value of that to the board. That gives the board inadequate time to sufficiently evaluate that. I object by statute as the chief executive authority for this county in charge of evaluating salaries. I have not been included in those discussions, although I greatly appreciate there's no way in 12 days, in fairness to our wage and compensation analyst, who I greatly admire and appreciate for stepping into this arena, but there's no way that has had the opportunity to be reviewed adequately and meet with the board. That has not happened. There are a number of factors in here that are red flags for an incoming board and the outgoing commissioners. And I am not able to approve this document and these increases, which has been objected to by the clerk numerous times, indicating that this was not a sustainable plan. So the taxpayers of Canyon County, I've looked through these. I don't think that these wages, that even though I agree that the county needs to compensate employees, salary is one of many factors. That's been on the record many times, but to continue to put money at a situation where there are other mitigating factors and risk management issues, now I will enter the discussion, because I was the only commissioner. I was in fact the only county representative at the ICAP meeting, and the numbers from the insurance, we don't have really any idea what that looks like. We have not addressed the jail funding. The the assessor contacted me several days ago and asked, did we provide for a capital improvements plan? Did we provide funding for a jail? There were a number of unanswered questions. I had those same questions. I went through and evaluated some of that information, including totaling other non-property tax revenue which was not done. And I had to refer him back to the auditor's office. I have lobbied for years to have that document be transparent to taxpayers, employees, commissioners. That has simply not been done. So there is a clear lack of due diligence. I have had taxpayers contact me indicating that their salary simply cannot sustain what it is that's being proposed. Again, I do appreciate the employees of this county, and I believe that a wage increase is merited, but given the deep cut that will not allow this county to take all of the new construction on this is going to be problematic in years to come, and we will have to raise property taxes. This will be put on the backs of county taxpayers. As a person who's run a private business, I will tell you that I am solvent. I have maintained integrity, and I have planned for times of hardship. This is unprecedented, and I hope it goes down as one of the most offensive and unorthodox moves by two commissioners in county government in Idaho history. Thank you.
Do you mean me? Are you meaning me? I'm just asking.
Commissioner White, I've made a statement. If you take it personally, I didn't put a handle on it for you. I've simply made a statement.
Okay, thanks, Commissioner Van Beek. That clears that up. I do have something to say, and it's just us, and I made my statement at the public hearing, and as I look around and see, most of you are there and know where I stood at that time and what I proposed, and even the motion that I made, and I stand by that. I'm not waffling. I'm not this and that and everything else. And I will tell you, yes, I did sit down with Commissioner Van Beek. And I said, what about this? Or, that she sent an email, and I referenced the email that she sent. And I said, okay, so how do we, well then, what if we, and we just kind of had a discussion about different things like that. And Commissioner Van Beek said to me, I'm going to have to think about this. I've got to talk to my people. And I said, you have to think about, if we were going to, it was just simply how we could come together on this, because her email referenced putting the pay back for the commissioners to restoring that. And she had to talk, and so that we kind of walked off at that point, and it was a nice conversation. And I got back to my office and I said, so I sent an email back that said, well, you know what? I want to think things through, and I have to give this more thought too. And the thought that I'm giving it is that I made my statement and I made a motion at the public hearing on the budget. The community was there, and different employees were there, and elected officials were there. And I stand by that. That the salaries readjusted, because there is that, and I don't know, did you take that COO out? I just heard her say the COO position is out of the budget, and so that would be a news to me, so I don't know. But that I do have that, there's a job description and everything else, and that is a possibility for the next board that's coming in, and that was my big consideration on that.
That's mine too, but the chief operating officer is not in this spreadsheet because it's not a filled position. And so it doesn't mean that it's still in the budget and it's still a position. But what we're doing today essentially is approving 800 plus blue sheets.
Yes, the salary.
Yes, for our existing employees. And so this is missing the people that don't work here yet, correct?
That's correct.
And then I think it's important. The exact words of Commissioner Van Beek was that there was a clear lack of due diligence between Greg and the controller and the HR department. Do you guys feel like you haven't done any due diligence in this? I think it's offensive, and you guys have worked incredibly hard, and you worked for, she alluded to a few days, which is completely rhetoric and untrue. There's been countless hours on this, just like you stated with the various elected officials and the department heads. So if you want to, you don't have to be on the hot seat, but
Madam Chair, I will say this. Hours has been a lot. Late nights, due diligence, I do believe, has been put in place. It's been 6 weeks of solid work. This has not been a couple of days. This has been midnights, 1 in the morning, work on numbers, validating numbers, revisions back and forth. And just to give you kind of a few of the numbers is the average employee, remember, we proposed the 3,000 and the 12,000. We're sitting at $7,657 around there. And we're sitting at 14.29% average top to bottom. But I will tell you, I've taken this very serious. Worked with HR, the controller, and I echo everything that Zach says. Our biggest asset is our employees. We even looked at this, if we're off by 1 row, that's somebody's salary. And I've been taking that very serious. And so me personally, is it absolutely 100% correct? I hope so. But it's surely going to be 99.99%. And we're going to do another review before 82 gets touched. We're going to double check this, triple check it. But yes, I appreciate you saying that, Madam Chair, but I put a ton of time in this. So is HR, so is Bosco in his 12 days. Talk about coming in running. It's been tough. So that's pretty much what I have.
Madam Chair, Commissioners,
Clerk Yamamoto.
I have so much to say, I don't know where to start. But let me start this way. My office, Zach, we kind of sat back and watched for a while because this was a football that went back and forth. Again, starting with 12,000 bucks across the board and then this, that, every which way. So we just took a time out, sat back and watched, listened. And we received the latest iteration of the spreadsheet this morning. And Zach went directly to work with that. I stayed out of his office, did not bother him. When I left for lunch, Zach was still working. I assume you worked through lunch, because we haven't had time to talk. My question would be, Zach, at this point, and by the way, just for everyone's benefit, with the tools that he has, with the computer and the programs we have, it's pretty, I wouldn't say it's easy, it's actually time consuming. But to go through each and every line item when it comes to an employee. My question to you, Zach, and you found some things, at this point, are you comfortable that what this work product is complete and correct?
I am comfortable, yes. Salaries are very fluid. There are things changing constantly, so we will take another look at this before we do a final import into ADP. As of today, I am comfortable with the numbers reported.
Madam Chair.
Clerk Yamamoto, did you want to say anything else? You said you had lots to say.
I do. Sometimes the better part of valor is to shut up.
Okay. Commissioner Van Beek.
And for the record, on the due diligence, I would submit again that it is lacking. Ada County has hired Steve Rutherford as the chief operating officer. His salary is set at $136,000 according to the website for him. The Ada County commissioners currently are at $124,000. During the budget season, there was no proposal in any open meeting. There could have been a closed meeting outside of the open meeting laws that took place that talked about discussing a reduction, but that was never discussed in an open meeting to cut the commissioner's salary. This position was an idea that I had before Commissioner Smith took office. I've met with Steve Rutherford and the county commissioners. They indicated that it was of value to the county, but they did not cut their salaries in order to help manage the workload for that. So I submit again that it is a punitive effort that is retaliatory in nature, and I object. This is not going to be a good reflection and represents the ongoing dysfunction of the county between elected officials that are determined to mob.
I just want to clarify, will you support paying the employees fair wages if your wages restored?
I'm sure we don't know what really that is. I've had,
That's the game that every elected official always wants to play. I don't know what it is. I don't know what fair number it is to pay you, but we've established that today. And
Madam
our
Chair, if
employees
that's
have
what
worked.
two commissioners have decided with 12 days from the wage and compensation analyst and a $9 million one-year increase to the budget, then I am confident that you will move forward, but I'm also confident that there will be ramifications from that kind of an increase going forward.
But you're just gonna point it out for the record, I'm sure they can already tell, but you're making today about your own salary, that it's not a fair salary for you, and you're completely ignoring the 800 plus employees that work so hard for us, and that they should be fairly compensated.
And Chair, there's no argument. If we look at the Venn diagram, which goes back to grade school with the areas of commonality, I've stated for the record that I believe employees should be fairly compensated. There's no argument on the value of Canyon County employees and the services that they provide to the 200 and some thousand citizens of Canyon County. But looking through this public record document, the outlier is the reduction in wage of the commissioners. It is the chief executive authority for this county, and it has been cut in a way that it is punitive, and it is not an accurate reflection of what this office does or the responsibility that they carry.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner White?
and I hope you understand how I mean this, Commissioner Van Beek, but this was not retaliation. It doesn't have anything to do with you. And I mean that with all due respect. This office, okay, we have the 3 commissioners, and we've discussed this for probably a year and a half, that of how this office, we need a whatever, someone,
Chief Operating Officer.
yes, that COO, something like that. To do, there are so many things that that individual could do, and I could never understand that. And you say that 90,000, I think, is punitive. That's more money than I've only been here 6 years, and when I was sworn in, it wasn't 90,000. It was only, so, no, wait, come on, I did not interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you.
But
Okay,
the
so
salary's
fair is
not
fair.
punitive. The
Fair is
salary's not punitive, the cut.
Fair is fair. So I'm saying that with the knowledge that there will be 2 new commissioners, and so there will be a completely different board, and the 3 commissioners have the option and have the funding available should they want to get that individual in place to assist with some of the other things that commissioners have to do on a regular basis, okay? That's taken care of. And so I figured to cut the commissioner's salary down like this, it weighed out the balance of what that position was suggested or imagined to be paid. And that's how I did that. And it had to do with the office of the commissioners. It did not have to do with Pam White, Carrie Smith, or Leslie Van Beek. It had to do with the office. That's how I did this, and I did not do it. There's no retaliation. I'm sorry, I'm not a grudge holder, and retaliation isn't one of my strong points, okay? So I want that to be very clear from this commissioner, that I totally thought about it in a business way to provide for the office of Canyon County Commissioners. That's how that works. So, and it's understood. And it was not any stipulation at any time while we were doing things together that we were going to be held up because of wage and compensation individual. That was not even something that we're going to hold up this budget until we asked Bosco, well, okay, then you've got 3 more hours. So, no, we didn't do that. So this is, as Greg said, and Kate Rice, who is not here, incredible job, thorough, very, very thorough. And back and forth, and all of the electeds we sat in meetings and had discussion. This was probably I think it's like number 17 budgets for me. And this was the most thorough and most engaged of any of the times that I've done this. It was this budget season was an enjoyable thing to discuss it openly. So thank you very, very much for the time that you put into it.
Madam Chair,
Last comment, Commissioner Maybe.
there is a provision in Idaho state statute that is a non-appropriations clause that does not allow one board to bind a future board. I would submit that you have exceeded your statutory authority in presuming to know what a future board does or does not want to do. So whatever your reasoning was, I did provide feedback. I will stand by my statement that it was punitive and you have exceeded your authority. And again, there will be welcome changes in January. Thank you.
That, Madam Chair, that statute was put in place to not obligate commissioners to a contract or more outgoing funds, has nothing to do with cutting funds back. So that doesn't have a play here. As this board would know, I wasn't very enamored with the COO position. If you get the right person and you have the right board, I think it could be of benefit. This board, I think, mostly understands that to a fairly large degree, the clerk of this county operated as a COO in many ways. I tried to keep that at a minimum, so to speak, as to not step on any toes, because not every commissioner has appreciated that. So I would just submit this. If you have a COO that's doing the job that we should be doing, maybe the should cut back on salaries, because this, I could see how this will cut back. If we get a good COO, there's going to be less things that I actually stick my fingers into. That being said, I'm always going to be watching it.
That was Commissioner White and I's sentiments, and there's a lot of value to it. I'll put one last thing on the record regarding that position. I do hope that the future commissioners support that, because the Board of County Commissioners we are a 3-man team, and we are on the public record all the time when we meet. And so it's very hard to have immediate and direct contact with our leaders that are truly carrying out the functions of the board. And so this position would allow a direct contact and allow the efficiency to improve dramatically, in my opinion, at Canyon County. So there's a lot of value in it. This board can choose to move forward with posting that job, or we can wait. And that's not up for discussion today. What is up for discussion is the resolution in front of us that sets the salaries for fiscal year 23. Is there a motion for that?
Madam Chair, I would move that we sign the resolution to approve the fiscal year 2023 salaries.
I will second that motion. There is a motion by Commissioner White and a second by Commissioner Smith to approve the salaries as presented. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes with 2 in favor and 1 opposed. And that completes this meeting. Thank you. Did Joe stop that video?
How are you doing? I'm gonna have a conflict. We have to have to drink late, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I really like you too.